Hello, everyone. So, today is going to be a start of a new series of videos in which we're going to basically try and learn lessons from many interesting and funny, or sometimes very funny short stories that we hear every day from our friends, either via email or social media like Facebook, etc. So this is about the stories that somebody forwards us or somebody tells us, and some stories that we have known for a long, long time since our childhood. Uh, but let's look at them and learn some lessons, and basically, in particular, learn lessons of leadership and management. So that is my goal here with this series of videos. And today's story is going to be a very famous story. I'm sure all of you have heard the story. This is about. So let me tell you the story first, and then we can look at the lessons that we can learn from that story. So once upon a time, there was a man who was walking, through a forest, and he was wearing a cloak around his shoulders, and up in the sky you had the sun and the wind, and they were both chatting with each other, if you will, and they had a bet with each other, saying, trying to see who will be successful in having the man take off his cloak. Okay, so the wind said, "You know what? I'm so much more powerful. I can definitely do it. You don't really stand a chance." He said that to the sun, and the sun said, "No, no, 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 my friend. I will win this. Let's see." Okay, so they said fine, and they decided that the wind would have the first attempt. So what did the wind do? The wind started blowing with all his might, huffing and puffing, and the man, he suddenly found that it was getting cold. And what he did was, all he did was he just put his cloak around him much tighter. And so the wind was obviously not going to give up so easily. So he blew harder and harder, and the man just cloaked himself much more firmer. And finally, the wind was totally exhausted, and he just said, "Oh, you know what? This is not going to work." So, all right. And but he was also happy that the sun, if he could not succeed, he knew in his mind that the sun would also not be able to succeed. So it's the sun's turn now to go for it. The sun came out of from the behind the clouds, and then he started shining. The man was like, the weather is really weird today. It was so cold and windy. Now it's starting to be sunny." So he just looked around for a bit. Sun started shining brighter and brighter, and the man was like, you know what? It's getting really hot here. So let me take off my cloak. And he took it out, and the sun was the winner. So, so what does this story tell us, right? So, what it really means is that you can see, if you want to try and convince someone to do something, it's much better to make it seem as though it was that person's idea in the first place to do it. So what did the wind do? The wind tried to force the man to take off his cloak. Okay, and the man was just resisting. And there would be a point where the cloak will come off, but obviously you had to put a lot and lot of force, and you end up basically defeating the very purpose. What's the point in having someone do what you want to do when you kill them, or uh, put them in a very bad situation? So, but what the sun did in such a way that the man thought that it was in his best interest to take away the cloak. So, if you can try and do that, make it seem as though it is that person's idea, instead of trying to beat them into submission, that will always work much better for you. Again, no, exceptions are always there, depending on the situation, the person, some things have to be done. But generally speaking, try to remember this story whenever you're faced with such a decision to make on what methods or devices to use to try and convince someone. Okay, that's it for today, and hope you enjoyed this little story and moral. I'll see you again in a few days with a new story.